Hello everyone, welcome to this morning crypto on Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. We might see the return of money printing by the end of the week. Jerome Powell will speak at the Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday, and I think this week could be the catalyst for something exciting. Of course, we have a terrible geopolitical context with the Middle East crisis, the banking crisis in China, and potentially much more. The return of recession, and I think the topic many people overlook is the 2023 banking crisis. Remember SVB and other banks that failed? Don't think it's all resolved a year later. I've read many analyses on the US banking sector. If we closed the books today, nearly 30% of regional banks would be in default right now. There's huge urgency. The Fed knows this, but never mentions it. This will push them to lower rates. Of course, there's also context. The fact inflation has dropped and the very unfavorable geopolitical situation. And look at the Nasdaq continuing its fantastic run. Pretty wild what it's been doing these past few days. If we look at a month's view, it had dropped quite a bit. August 5th, as usual, fear was at its peak. It seemed like the end of the world, almost saw Martians, then boom, explosion. Kudos to those who bought on the 5th, like July 5th too. More good news, Goldman Sachs now says recession risks. Remember, at the start of the month, it seemed like the world was ending. Then overnight, Goldman Sachs spoke, and as usual, everyone just nodded along. They said recession risk dropped to 20%. Good news for markets, right? Of course, this risk is down because Goldman Sachs also factors in their prediction that the Fed will cut rates later this year. But that might be too late. As is often the case with the Fed, unfortunately, they tend to react after the fact. Now let's talk about Tether. It's a hot topic because it's truly one of the biggest cash cows in crypto. You can look at any project you want, but they're stable coins. That's the real money-making machine in the crypto world. It's absolutely mind-blowing. They might make 25-30 billion in profits this year. As I've said, their market value is a company worth hundreds, if not more, hundreds of billions of dollars. So they'll continue expanding on Aptos, which is great news for Aptos more than Tether, as they're already everywhere. Ethereum, Tron, you name it. They'll be on Aptos too, so that's positive. Interestingly, we're obviously waiting for the next ETF. There will be one, it's just a matter of when. End of this year, next year. More ETFs will come, no doubt about it. For me, will it be Solana, XRP, Chainlink, and so on? In any case, there are deposits being made, and the SEC is doing exactly what it did with Ethereum before simply backing down. They're claiming Solana is a security, but we know the story and the likely outcome. I think there'll be a Solana ETF within 6 months. A year at most, especially since Brazil already has one, while there's not even a Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF. This is interesting because the US elections will obviously be important for the crypto sector. Kamala Harris, who is actually having her nomination this week too, so it'll be a big moment. It's happening now, and she'll officially be the Democratic candidate. Now that's a real surprise, quite crazy. I think it's a joke. These are rumors. It seems Kamala Harris might pick Gary Gensler as Treasury Secretary if elected. That'd be almost, I don't know how to put it, but it'd be a huge blow to the crypto sector if the Treasury Secretary was Gary Gensler. Plus, he's completely discredited because of his stance that all cryptos are securities and all that. Now with BlackRock, ETFs, and everyone involved, he's totally out of touch. He's basically finished, you could say. It'd be huge, really crazy if she chose him as Treasury Secretary. Also, it's pretty wild how Coinbase sometimes takes so long. We wonder about Binance too, like why no Casper? How come they listed your coin a while back? Sometimes there are odd occurrences like this over weeks, and well, imagine Coinbase. They've just recently launched, they've just listed NIR, which is good news, along with Aero, which I don't know, VT, VTTO, and the stablecoin PYQSD. I'm mainly thinking about VT. It's been a while since we discussed it. Let's check the chart. I think it's extremely bullish for VT, and for all these tokens that Coinbase is listing them. Would you like to learn how to use basic indicators everyone has on their trading platform? I like that, because it's pretty much what I've been telling you these past few weeks, honestly, regardless of the side. And personally, I don't closely follow the US elections, nor will I follow the campaigns in detail. It doesn't concern me. It's for Americans. I think in France, we've got enough on our plate without delving into the details of the American elections, except for their potential economic impact. And I agree with Grayscale's CEO, that's what conviction is about. Honestly, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, I think Bitcoin doesn't care. It'll skyrocket at some point by year's end, regardless of the presidential election results. I really wanted to end with that because it's truly what I believe. We'll talk about it a lot because it's in the news. Kamala Harris, Trump's speeches with his son and all that. But I think whatever the outcome of the American elections will end up with Bitcoin skyrocketing by the end of the year, maybe even sooner. As for the map, it's very positive. We have a good map. We have cases that are settling. Notcoin and Toncoin have recently exploded. We're seeing a bit of a comeback. We have decent volumes, nothing special. It's mid-August after all. These are really small volumes. The last 2 weeks we had almost double, about 50 billion, even though it's usually the year's low. Ethereum was also showing good volumes. What I really like is this. Look at the euro dollar, it's soaring. It's above all moving averages except the 200-day one. If it breaks through, it could mean the euro's rising. Plus, I'm in Thailand, so it's good for me for exchanges. If it explodes here, it could be interesting. I've told you it's a leading indicator. Often, it precedes market explosions. As for Bitcoin, not much to say. We're still below the 3 moving averages with the 50-day moving average approaching. There you go, finding support here. We need to break through, and it can happen fast. You know, we're at 65,000 and breaking above the 3 moving averages. And now there are 3 resistances to watch short term and a 4th one much higher up, as you know, at the top of the range. It's great to see, seems to confirm. We'll proceed cautiously, but maybe the 200 level. We've talked about this zone a lot. Kudos to those who bought at 200. Once again, I think we're validating a double bottom. To fully confirm it, we need to break past 320 for the 100-day moving average. And to really validate we've bottomed out, 370. But it's gradually recovering. On the 200, it's gained 50%. As for XRP, it's showing quiet strength, breakout, pullback, then up again. I think this could be big because it was so difficult to break out initially. From the triangle, I think we're not ready for XRP yet, but I believe it could be in the top 10. It might be one of the best performers this bull market. When you've experienced a triangle lasting almost 10 years, when you break out, honestly, this is nothing compared to what it could do. The explosion. Maybe we're not ready. Next, this chain we talked about, there was a big support that we completely broke. And maybe it's forming a second base to bounce back. In any case, it's a bit slow, but again, haven't we formed a double bottom? We'll keep a close eye on it. Look, it's going north, south, but finally we're entering this orange range that started like Bitcoin since March. It's in a completely horizontal range, quite crazy. I wanted to finish with Flux Plus, which gave us a nice candle here, but retraced half its rise. However, the following days are green candles, it continues. I think it's in a nice uptrend between the 50 and 100 moving averages. The 50 MA acts as support, the 100 as resistance. We'll need to break through. We failed twice. We'll need to break 70 cents to then possibly battle in the zone between 70 and 90 cents. That's all from me. Have a good day and I'll see you soon.